The glottalic, egressive airstream mechanisms and ejectives. In 7.5.1, we saw that the glottis can be the initiator of an airstream, as its movement causes pressure changes in the vocal tract. We saw that for implosives, the larynx moves down, and of course the glottis moves down too, as it is inside the larynx. The movement leads to pressure differences, which in turn move air and create an airstream flowing into the mouth. Now we will continue to look at glottalic airstreams, but this time we will look at sounds produced on glottalic aggressive airstreams. Sounds produced on a glottalic aggressive airstreams are called ejectives. They exist in about 15% of the world's languages and are quite common in North American and African languages. They are not found linguistically in English, so they never make a meaning difference. However, they can be found as one way of producing voiceless plosives p, t, k at the end of phrase, especially if the speaker is being particularly forceful. Exercise 7.8. Try saying the word quick, loudly and forcefully. Listen carefully to the final k. Now compare the forceful production to that when the word is said quietly and gently. What do you notice? Comment A and B. If you succeed in producing an adjectives, then the k at the end of quick will have sounded quite different when it is produced loudly and forcefully. Of course, it is difficult to describe sounds in writing, but it will have sounded sharper and more explosive. As you did for the implosives, it is worth listening to some examples from your teacher or the internet. See the resources section, page 279. You will then be able to listen out for adjectives in speech you hear around you and in your own speech. We will think about where adjectives can occur in English. In Unit 11, bearing in mind what you know about the glottalic and aggressive airstream, what do you think might have been to the glottis to initiate the glottalic aggressive airstream? Both we saw that the glottis moves down to bring air into the vocal tract, to move air out of the vocal tract, that is, to produce an aggressive airstream. The glottis moves up, as we shall see shortly. We now turn our attention to the stages of production for adjectives. We will illustrate this with the velar adjective, which is the most common adjective in the language of the world. The first stage when adjective is produced is for two closure to form more or less simultaneously in addition to valid closure. One of these clauses must be a glottal closure whereby the vocal folds become tightly shut. This closure of the glottis is shown by the straight line in the larynx in figure 7.7. Just as for regular plosives, the other closure is elsewhere in the vocal tract. Just as the velar closure in figure 7.7, air is therefore trapped between these two closures. The next stage is for the larynx and the glottals, which is inside the larynx, to move up, while both closures remain in place. That is shown by the upward arrow near the larynx. In figure 7.8, as the glottis is closed, it acts like a piston and pushes up the air trap between the two closures. The air cannot escape, so is squeezed into a smaller space and therefore under higher pressure than before the larynx rose. Then the closure and the oral tract is released. So figure 7.9, and the pressurized airflow quickly out of the vocal tract towards the ambient air, which is of lower pressure. This quick movement of air moves the ejectives its distinctive sharp sound. Finally, the larynx lowers, and if no sound follows, the glottis opens to return to normal breathing. The first stage of velar ejectives, the second stage of velar ejective, the third stage of velar ejectives, the fourth stage of velar ejectives. Exercise 7.10. Attempt to replicate the stages above and see if you can produce ejectives. Sounds. Try to make velar and bilabial ejectives. Do you think it is possible to produce voice ejectives? Why not try it? Comment. As we suggested above, it is worth practicing the ejectives and trying find a teacher to help you. Some of the clickable IPHRs recommended in the resource section, page 279, will allow you to listen to ejectives and try to imitate them. Voiced ejectives do not exist in the language of the world. You can give them a try and hear that you do not get the distinctive ejective sound if the vocal folds of everything. While most vocal sounds have an open glottal, ejectives have a firmly shut glottis, like grrr. If the glottis is to act as an efficient piston, it needs to be tightly closed, and if it is tightly closed, it cannot be vibrating and produce voice. Conversely, if the glottis is not tightly closed, it doesn't move the air very efficiently. Importantly, any voiceless obstruent can be produced as an ejective, so the languages of the world contain ejective plosives, ejective frillips, and ejective fricates. There are no new symbols to learn for ejectives, and so ejectives can be symbolized by adding the symbol go to the equivalent pulmonic aggressive symbol. So the velar ejective plosives from above is symbolized as cur, a bilabial ejective plosives, per, and an alveolar ejective plosives. The symbols for the ejectives are shown with the other non-pulmonic sounds on the IP chart, page 21.